Thank you so much for joining Conversations with Cohen. I'm your host, Greg Cohen, Office Leasing Specialist at Cressa. And this podcast is for office tenants to help educate them about all things regarding their office space, from leasing to architecture and everything in between. Whether you're an entrepreneur thinking about your first office to a director of real estate managing a large real estate portfolio, this podcast is for you. I've got a fascinating show for you today. My guest is Mark Benhar of Benhar Office Interiors. We're going to be talking about the office post-COVID and what you can do to help create a safe and welcoming environment for your team to encourage them back to work. By the way, if you want to reach me, I'm at Greg Cohen NYC on Instagram. And if you're new to this video series or podcast, hit the subscribe button so you never miss a future episode. Today, I'm very excited to be joined by Mark. If you don't know him, he's the president of Benhar Office Interiors. He's been in the industry for over 35 years, first learning the trade at Empire before starting his own firm in the early 2000s, which is now one of the leading Herman Miller dealerships in New York City. Mark, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Greg. I appreciate it. It's fun to be here.
Mark, I'm really excited to have you on because reentry to the workplace is such the topic of the moment. And calls keep coming in to me from clients saying, how do I prepare my space when reentry does happen? So I'd love for you to speak with us about that and how tenants should be thinking about getting their space ready for their employees and their teams.
Yeah, thank you. I think it's on all of our minds. There's a lot of good content out right now that we've all been either listening to on webinars or reading in white papers. For the most part, I agree with a lot of it. There are some, of course, like anything else, some different views out there. I don't know if there'll be one unified view. But I look at it from my own business and my own employees' perspective. That's the eye that I have. And the other eye I have is for my clients as well. And I think that it's going to be tough, but it'll be what we would like to say a bundled approach, right? There's not going to be one secret elixir thing to do. You're going to have to do a lot of different things. And as far as furniture, there's going to be a few things I could share with you that I think that we're all agreeing on. But it's going to come down in the beginning to, I think, staggering people into the office. First of all, I'm not even sure who's going to want to come back to the office so quick. And as business owners, we're going to have to adapt to that a little bit and be open-minded that some people are either going to be scared, they're not going to be able to do the transportation or want to get on it. They have kids at home that are not in school. So that's the first thing that we have to look at, and how flexible we can be. There's definitely people at my firm and others that have to be out in a field or an office, and others that certainly could work from home. I was lucky enough that we instituted work from home prior to the virus and started getting used to it. And I can say that our management team was a little hesitant. Maybe we're a little old school in the past, but I'm glad looking back that about 6 months before the virus, we started it. And it really was a little bit more seamless for us to do it. And I have a different perspective on now allowing people to work from home. But of course, not everyone wants to work from home or can work from home for different reasons. Maybe they're not as disciplined. Maybe they have distractions. Maybe they just like to be around people like I do. I'm definitely ready to get back to be with people again. There's no doubt about it. I like to be in that kind of seat of control and interaction with my people and clients and stakeholders. So I think the first thing is going to be just looking at that, the work from home policy and how flexible you are. And then coming back gradually, like governments are going to require us to, but not having everyone in. So it depends on the density of your floor plan and how you have things laid out. And we've been going to a more dense environment over the last few years, as you know.
And what does that mean? And for people who don't know what that means, what does that mean?
Well, we've been going to more of as far as furniture and planning, less bigger workstations to more of a linear planning, what we call benching stations, where people are facing each other and only sitting between 4.5 and 6 feet apart. facing each other, sometimes without very little dividers between, and more collaborative areas and so on and so forth. So because it depends on the footprint that you have, I have some clients that have 6 foot or a little larger between people. It might be easier, and they might be faced and oriented one way where they can come back safely. And I have other clients, including my own office, that are between 4.5 and 5 feet apart, sitting very close to each other. You have to if you're too close together like we are, you have to possibly stagger employees back into the office. Could be that one group is in all week and the next week is another group. I have friends that are thinking about, and so we, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for one group, Tuesday and Thursday, the people are not sitting next to each other or across from each other. So that's the density play. And then, of course, the other thing is that there are a lot of collaborative areas and a lot of conference areas that are built where people are normally sitting very close to each other. And that's going to be of interest to how to accommodate that. It could be as simple as just taking out chairs in a conference room. So if we had a 12-person conference room, maybe making it 4 to 6. We're not going to allow people to congregate in the pantry for a while. And that's just what we're going to do. They have to get in there for the refrigerator and coffee. We'll have certain rules about that, possibly masks and gloves, but they're not going to be able to use certain spaces. There are a lot of these phone booths that we've been selling, and a lot of our clients have in their space. They're great because they act for privacy. But we're challenged right now that those are going to be, in the beginning, hard for people to go into, because imagine a single person phone booth and then the next person's going into it. It's enclosed, even though there's ventilation. You're going to have to trust that someone's wiping it down each time. I think that's going to be, we're going to put a lock on that, possibly. I think there's some different views about that. And then so you have that you have also then ways that people could change their environment a little bit, depending on what kind of furnishings that they bought. But we are offering a lot of different solutions that could be temporary. It's going to be a balance of making people feel safe versus is it really stopping the virus? We're a Herman Miller dealer. Herman Miller is one of the leading office furniture companies in the world. They've done a lot of research, and they're also very, very strong in the medical field. And the podcasts and webinars that I've been listening from the medical profession, not professional, but medical experts, and Miller is basically these screens are not going to necessarily stop a virus. It's not proven to do it. They've done studies with this in hospitals and such. But I think we all know it's going to give people some solace, some psychological solace. And I think it's just not that, but bundled with other things like hygiene, washing your hands, having sanitizing stations nearby, the social distancing, or the change in the name from social distancing, I'm hearing, to physical distancing in our community. So the bundle approach of many different things, I think, will be my advice as a business owner, and something I'm going to practice for my business. And I would advise that for any of your tenants listening right now. I can share at some point, we have different solutions furniture-wise where these screens are going to go on. So in the low environments, we can put retrofittable, easy installed screens onto desks, and even coming out a little bit into the aisleway for protection. That's starting to, I'm getting hundreds of emails from different manufacturers we represent with their solutions. Everyone is flocking to either sell masks, hand sanitizer, or screens.
Right, but if you think about it from a business perspective, balance sheets are, the financial situation of many companies is worse than it was. They don't have tons of extra cash to spend, right? And for something that might be hopefully temporary, the last thing we want to do is spend tons of money retrofitting something, right? So
I agree with that.
So to the tenant who calls me 2 weeks ago, hey, we just signed a 7,000 square foot lease, and it was a sublease, and they pack them in like sardines, 110 square feet per person. The question was, can you talk to me about what I can do for my space? It sounds like what you're saying is, one, you can stagger your employees to get further less densification or people further apart from each other is one thing. Two, you can put in some screens, but that's debatable whether that's actually solves anything. What else could I do as a tenant if I do have bench seating and I've got a lot of people in a small space?
Well, you don't have that much flexibility, barring the fact that you don't want to spend a lot of money to take it down and reconfigure and buy new furniture.
Right.
There's not a lot that you can do other than having less people in. And again, it depends on the orientation. So I'm describing bench seating where people are facing each other. We have a lot of clients, and one of the best practices going forward is to have people sitting all in the same way, perpendicular to each other.
That's interesting.
And that's what I would recommend right now for people to be looking at if they were taking new space, or if they really wanted to spend the money to reorient the space. There are furniture systems out there. Again, these are more for going forward for new clients that build in a lot of flexibility where you could day one have it perpendicular and screens, and then later on when things get back to normal, do it more bench style with just moving it and very little cost. So I'm going to recommend to our clients to build in flexibility into their furnishings. And there are products and systems out there that do that already. I didn't answer your question about that 7,000 foot client. I would just say, I wouldn't want them to spend a lot of money if they didn't have it, and to look at the least expensive screens. And then, freestanding screens that are mobile, or we have these mobile carts or whiteboards. So there are things that maybe later on they can repurpose and do something else with it. But again, if you're going to buy 10 or 20 of those, I don't know where they're going to put them later on.
Right.
So people might have to spend a little money and be, let me say, stuck with it, but not have the greatest use for it 18 months later.
When I was speaking with Jim Perot last week of Cressa's project management team, he started talking a lot about indoor air quality, right? And so when you think about indoor air quality, you start to think about biophilia, or adding green space into your space. Is there any solutions that either you're reading about or coming across or offering that could be an interesting solution for tenants?
It's funny that you said that. So, there are architects, and I know you've got architects on the show, and plants are great because they just make you feel good, and they're great for the environment, and they're good for health reasons. So there are plant walls that a lot of architects build into spaces. Just having plants around and such is as simple as that. But there happens to be a system that we've been selling for a few years now, and the pitch is it's a plant wall that's but the real thing is that it's air purification system. It's a product that's made overseas that actually has a frame to it. There's no plumbing needed. It just gets plugged into the wall. There's a water tank built into it, and it has a GPS on it, so it actually picks up the weather satellite, so it knows what the humidity in your space, and will water it based on that. And it's called Nava, Naava, Nava Wall. And it's great. It looks like a piece of furniture, like a bookcase, but with plants in it. But it has a special formula in the pot and the soil and a fan inside, and the air comes in and it gets refiltered and air purified out. As a matter of fact, I have bad allergies. I have constant congestion. And the first time I ever got pitched on the product, it was in a conference room. So in a very small setting, about 10 by 12, 10 by 15 room. And I was in there for about 20 minutes, and the woman was explaining to it. And sometimes you don't believe things. And all of a sudden, I swear, my whole nose and throat, everything just cleared up. It was great. So I put it in my space. And it actually, about 500 to 600 square foot radius for each piece. So that's one thing that we have that's easy to get. And then it's easy to maintain.
Interesting.
But, that's one thing. And then there are a lot of the thing with plant walls are you need to build them in. There's plumbing involved.
Right.
Quite expensive. And so this is one product that we have that we can throw up on a website for you guys, or anything that you'd like to show your clients.
I'll be sure to put them in the show links later. So work from home, right? You had mentioned there's going to be some portion of the population that works from home. you can read certain number of, I think there was a study I was reading, a survey that was done even a month and a half ago by CFOs, and it was 25% of CFOs see at least a portion, right, 15-20% of their employees working from home. The numbers doesn't matter. There's going to that's a trend. While it might not necessarily be a solution for all, you could see it being a solution for some. So can you talk to us a little bit about, if I'm somebody who is going to have my staff working from home, what some of those solutions are to make it a productive place, so that it's not with the kids running around behind you and having you set up on the ping pong table or in the kitchen.
That's funny. I was on a call this morning with Mark Spector, who was one of your guests. And we were talking about that as business owners, what we should or shouldn't do, what we can or can't do for our employees on a go-forward basis when working from home. And I'm amazed. We did a contest the first 2 weeks everyone was working from home to see, everyone took a picture of their work from home environment. It was pretty interesting. And the one person who won happened to be my administrative assistant, and she was working on an ottoman. So, I don't think people, including myself, are equipped to work from home. I think the ones that are the pros who have worked from home for a long time. Matter of fact, we're starting a work from home website soon. I'm not sure if it's going to get a lot of activity, but I feel like it would be a good thing to have. And I do think that if, as employers, we should be supporting productive work. If we're going to be open to have people work from home, which we have been, then I kind of think that I missed the boat on this myself. In that the last 6 months prior to the virus, people work from home, but I didn't ask them, hey, are you set up correctly? Is your back hurting? Do you have the right ergonomics? It's something that we're looking into now with our own employees. So, I do think that everyone deserves to do it. And how that gets done, or who pays for that, that's going to be employer to employer. Someone this morning mentioned possibly a stipend. There's also some liability on the other side from a business owner standpoint. Someone mentioned to me this morning that a few companies have been sued. They got backaches, they had surgery, they sued their employer because they didn't give them the right ergonomic solutions at home. It's crazy, right? You're vulnerable as an owner. So interesting thing. Yes.
What would you then? Somebody comes to you and says, Mark, I want to get set up at home. I want the right ergonomics, right? I want the right desk, but I don't want to spend a ton, right?
Yeah.
What are the three products? What's the right desk? What's the right chair?
Yeah. I think a sit-stand, simple desk, rectangular sit-stand, laminate desk is good because standing is important, and a lot of our clients are standing in the office. So whether they have an existing desk and they get those apparatuses to stand on an existing desk, or if they want to buy just a sit-stand table, it's probably good. A set of drawers and a good ergonomic chair. Those are if you had to go to three. If you had an existing setup like I do, but that's not sit-stand, do a good, nice sit-stand apparatus that retrofits on the existing desk. And again, a good ergonomic chair. One of my clients today is a CEO of a major brand that we all know. I won't mention it. Just emailed me an hour ago. Hey, Mark, thanks for just redoing our offices. They're gorgeous, but we're not getting to see them. I'm home and my back's killing me. Can you get me that Herman Miller chair that I have in the office? So it's out there, and I'm getting a lot.
What model was that? And what model was that?
I'm not sure, honestly, which one. Yeah, most of the Herman Miller chairs are great, whether it's the embodied chair or the air-on chair. Right now, Herman Miller is running long lead times because Michigan is shelter in place. So they're at least 12 weeks. So I recommended another ergonomic brand, and I think he just emailed me that they like one. But so, a good chair, a good sit-stand desk, I think are the two key things, depending on the space, right? Does someone live in an urban setting and they only have a 500 square foot apartment?
Right.
Or does someone have a home and they have some room? So it's not going to be a one-size-fits-all situation.
Understood. Okay. Thanks for that. Um, so talking about Herman Miller and talking about your journey, I'd love for you to share with us. So, as I understand your background, you started 35 years ago in the furniture business. Would love to hear about your journey at Empire and why in the early 2000s you decided to break off on your own and start Benhar Office Interiors.
Yeah, it's been a little less than 35. It's been about 33. I actually got into this business by accident. No one grows up saying they're going to be in the office furniture business. You either get into by accident or you're born into it. I'm proud to say both my son, who's 28, and my daughter, who's turning 26 on Sunday, are in our business. I'm very proud of that. It's not something that I planned, and it's worked out. So they got the born into, and they wanted to be there. And I got in by accident. So I actually started my career at Aronson Office Furnishings. It's still a very vibrant company. They only had about 12 people, and I didn't know what the hell I was doing, but I could sell anything. So someone introduced me, and I liked the guys, and we started, and I hustled, and I figured it out. And I started doing well with it. And I actually met one of my closest friends was a real estate broker. And within 3 months, he was in an office park upstate. And he called me up. He goes, Ben, how I get your ass down here? I got a deal for you. And I realized the connection to people like you're in much earlier than are, and a really good influencer for us. So I used that, and I built a good network of other influencers in the marketplace, and just worked hard and did well. And then I went to Empire. Empire is the largest independent office furniture dealer in the country. But I always had a yearning desire to be an entrepreneur. I was entrepreneurial as a kid. I was just, every day I communicate with my employees, and I'm running out of things to talk about. And one of the things I recently, in the last week or two, have done is told them of all the different entrepreneurial jobs I had since I'm 12 years old, and had the newspaper route. And I try to relate the lessons I learned or the parallels in what I do today. Newspaper route, I had to actually, I employed my brother and sister to help fold the papers, and I had to go deliver them, and I had to go collect money, and some people would be late. I had to knock on doors. I had to have some customer service skills, and so on and so forth. Or I was a good human man, and I hustled. I bought the ice cream myself, so I had to buy inventory, lay out money first. I took risk. So I didn't realize when I was doing it, but it was in my blood. Right. So it's something I always wanted. I actually almost started my own firm almost 12 years earlier than I did. And the owner of Empire and I were close, and just kept me. So, I started now almost 18 years ago. And I was looking to maybe buy an existing firm, and nothing really just was appealing. And starting from scratch was going to be hard, but that's what we did. And I brought a gentleman from Empire that was on my group, who was more operational. He has an accounting background and operations, and I was the marketing and sales. And we went off and we started Benhar Office Interiors. And lucky enough to stumble on Herman Miller. They're a major brand in the world. At that time, they didn't have the best distribution in New York. It was a little old, and they were looking for a shot in the arm. I needed to have a major brand, because at Empire we had another major brand, and the people I played with and the types of accounts we went after, I needed that. That was the right to entry, so to speak. So we looked at a few, and Miller was very interested, and I was very interested in them. It happened very quickly. They hadn't added a dealer in New York City in over 25 years. So it was a big accomplishment. And I think it was just right timing. It was the right timing. They liked my business plan. I had a good reputation. We started from scratch with me, my partner Bob at the time, and my wife came to work for us. And we just hit the pavement like you do, and one thing led to another, and we build and we build and build. And I'm proud to say it's 18 years later. We have a thriving business and really great national accounts, and we work hard, and we all enjoy what we do. And we have a good culture in our firm too. That's the most important thing. Proud to say we've won Crane's Best Places to Work 2 out of the last 5 years, and we have fun.
And how big is your staff now, for context?
We have close to 50 people. It's not 50. So far, I'm also proud to say that we've had very few, if no, layoffs in this unprecedented time. But we've kept the whole staff.
And as far as sectors that you of the world of the business world that you service, is that across the gamut? Are there?
Yeah, I would say it's across the gamut. We're not particular. I would say that we're not as diversified as I'd want. So looking at the downturn, and I said this last downturn, need to diversify more. But we're very strong in corporate interiors, from 10,000 feet to 200,000 foot projects, national accounts, finance, consumer goods, nonprofits, real estate, tech, across the gamut. I'd say we have probably more financial clients than others, but New York's, as you know, melting pot of many different businesses, and everyone needs furniture, so that's good.
So just talking about furniture, and if you're talking to the first-time tenant, right? What advice would you offer a first-time tenant about thinking about, or the person who's for the first time doing an office move?
Yeah,
some words of wisdom, if you would,
of
how they should be thinking about the process, how to engage someone like yourself, how they should be thinking about it, and how they should be budgeting for it as well.
Yeah, I mean, the first piece of advice would be to bring on, great team members that really care about their firm, their process, and their culture. Someone who will understand and ask the right questions, and get it right for them. Some people, of course, are motivated only by price. We can be competitive. A guy like you can show $30 space, and you can show $150 space. So get the right person or group of people, not just furniture, but professionals on board. And if you haven't done it for a while, get people who are going to educate you. We take a lot of pride in educating potential clients in the process, because it's not an easy process. I always say it's not like we just have black desks and gray desks in the warehouse. So we can go pick them out. We'll have it the other tomorrow. Office furniture is a bigger process to expedite them and procure than most people know. The simple things are probably easy, but a lot of people, they want to go to showrooms. They want to see multiple different solutions. They're not 100% sure. They might not be the final decision maker, and it's a long process. So, I'd say get together with people who are educated, who can educate you, who are going to care about what you want, and have a diverse offering so that you're not locked into something. As far as budget, hire someone that has, a diverse offering. We always say we don't really care what you spend as long as you work with us. We'll do it like it's our pocketbook. We'll show you different solutions, from a budget to a mid-price to a high-end. We just like you, read the client, understand what their objectives are, what their pocketbook is, help them to tell them what budgets are, and then start showing them the direction there. Let them then choose the best thing. And we find that people usually buy what they want to buy, what they like.
And how early in the process should they get you on board?
Depends on the size of the deal.
Right.
I think too many people don't plan well. The earlier the better, again, because just first of all, most office furniture is 8 to 10 weeks manufacturing time. So that's from the time that we've decided on everything and put it in order. But by the time I need to meet them, take them to showrooms, and that whole process in the beginning, depending how fast they are and such, could take another 8 to 10 weeks. So it could be, anywhere. We have large deals that we're involved a year early, and we have mid-sized deals where we're involved 6 months before they move in, and the smaller deals maybe 3 to 4 months. Of course, there are clients that come to us and say, we're moving in 2 weeks. What can you do for us? And it's a scramble, and we have in stock. We're there to help. We have in stock and quick ship. We say, here's what you can get, and if not, then maybe move your furniture or rent something temporarily. That's the other thing sometimes we say is like either rent something temporarily, we can do your rental, and then swap out the furniture. If you're going to be in the space for a long period of time and you really want what you want, but you didn't plan exactly the way you wanted, and that opens people's eyes to say, oh, I didn't know it was an option. So that's what we do. We lay out the options for them.
Great. So shift gears for a moment. No episode of Greg C TV would be complete without some talk about food. I understand that you spend some of your time in New York City outside of working there. Any favorite restaurants that you can share with us that are on your rotation, and any favorite dishes in those restaurants that we should try?
Great. I love food. Let's see, restaurants. My favorite restaurants. I like we're a big Omakase family, and there's a great restaurant.
And Omakase, for those people who don't know what that is
a sushi experience where you don't order and the chef. It's basically a chef's menu, a chef's tasting, and they just bring out food and sushi to you. We like that experience. And there's a great restaurant on 12th Street called Shuko, Shuko. Small, no more than 20 seats, mostly at the bar. Phenomenal sushi like you've never, phenomenal, like the best. There's another one called Sushi by Zoe, very similar. So those two we love a lot. I like Carbone. I haven't been there in a while, but I like that. Great veal parmesan, great pasta dishes. I'm a sucker for Italian. And what else do I like?
All right, those are three great ones. Those are three great ones. There's no shortage. There's no shortage.
There's a great place down in the village called Isodi, Isodi. Check it out. I don't think it's very hard to get in. I think there's no more than 15 or 20 people.
And what kind of place? What kind of restaurant is that? Also Italian?
It's Italian, but the lasagna is to die for.
Amazing.
There you go.
All right, Mark. Well, thank you so much for taking the time and sharing some of your wisdom of what's happening in the office furniture market and how tenants can think about reentry and getting back to work. I know it's a moving target still, but we want to really thank you for taking the time to help people think about how they should be preparing for a safe environment for their tenants as they get back to work. And I'll be sure to put the show notes links to you, to Benhar Office Interiors, to contact you, as well as to Herman Miller and those great restaurant tips that you suggested.
Thank you.
All right.
Greg, you're the best. Thanks so much.
Thanks so much, Mark.